This question has come up several times. It comes up a lot, and I don't mind that it does because we have people coming and going in the group all the time. But a lot of you have, if you're in like an MLL company or some type of direct selling business or, independent contracting, but you also have, maybe a blog, or you want to start your own business, that you actually run yourself, that you're, the owner, and different things like that. What I always tell people is, and he mentions it here, that both of my visions here are about helping kids. So that's him branding himself. That's obviously what he's about. He's into helping people, specifically children. And I'm sure when he signed up for this company, it was because of his values and what he believes in. This is about him. This is what Shane is all about. This is what he is into. So when he's trying to do this new product, it's a fundraising product that maybe doesn't have anything to do with this other company. It still has to do with helping kids. And I run into that a lot, where you join something because it speaks to you, something about your personality and who you are. Remember, the first cycle in the success cycle is the S1 is self. So really getting clear on what your values are and what you promote, or what you believe in. It should be what you promote and talk about, not just on your business page, but on your personal page too. I mean, if you are friends with Shane, you go to his regular page, you'll find that maybe a lot of the content he shares has to do with helping kids, eating healthy, nutrition, that kind of stuff, because he probably wouldn't have joined those companies if that wasn't something that spoke to him. So what I tell people is, you want to just do, because it's too hard to manage more than one page. You really want to brand yourself as a business owner and start building a community, a following that speaks to people who are about what you're about, your hobbies, your interests, things you enjoy, the things you're passionate about. You have those passions and those feelings and those desires for a reason. That's who you are. That's how you're here to show up in the world. And the things you're good at, your gifts, are also your way of contributing and sharing with others. So what I usually say, especially on Facebook, you are the brand. So brand yourself, and then you can have, if you do have to create, like if your company makes you have your own separate page and it has to be named a certain way and it can't be combined with anything, that's fine. In that case, yes, then you might want to create a business page for, like your direct selling company. But on your page, like for example, let me open this one up. This is me branding myself, as a brain coach, social media trainer, because I actually had 2 separate pages back in the day where it was all about, like, how the brain works and, mindset and all of that. And then I had another one that was just for Facebook tips for direct sellers. And it was a lot of headache managing 2 pages. This was several years ago. And I found that, this is just who I am. I love both things. So I incorporated that and branded myself as, I'm now using a different term, so I will be updating this, but I'm being very strategic about that, because when you change your Facebook page name, a notification goes out to all of your fans. So I'm going to plan that very strategically with my next launch. This is kind of long, so it's actually going to be online business brain coach, which is what I've been using like in my email signatures and all of that. But I'm going to officially change it here on Facebook. But what I wanted to come here and say is, I could have created a separate page for, like all of the courses I teach and my coaching and all of that. But I just made a tab here on my main page about, what I offer, right? So my coaching options. If you want to join my program, you can do this. I talk about the different offerings I have, but I also mention, if you want to check out, let's see, to join. Oh, you know what it is? It's on the live, join me live. So that's, another segment of like when I do my live calls or live webinars or anything like that, I let people know there too, hey, I also have courses. Click here to see my courses. Here I talk about, joining the Support Academy. You can learn more. When they click here, they go to another app I have installed on a completely different page. Now, I don't recommend doing different pages. This is the page you guys are on now. This is not my main, like if you go to like just the regular home, right? Or if I just click on the main page here, not the app, like there's no activity here. I rarely post. I hardly ever post anything. Like if I update a picture or an event or something, and that's only because I'm copying my events that are on my on this page. I just go into events and then I do copy to this page, so they show up here. But I never really post here. This page literally was created so that I could have a separate app for each course, and then a separate app for taking payments for each type of consultation. And I was running out of room over here. So I figured, well, let me just create a page that's just for my paid stuff, like paid programs. But everything else here is just free, like free information or free downloads, or, you know, just basically tips and stuff. So that's really the only reason I have this whole other page, to be honest. But if you're not crazy like me with millions of apps and you don't need the room, you can have, you know, like, this is who I am, the person, the business, the brand, what I'm about. This is the kind of content I like to share. I like to help people with this type of stuff. And then create third-party app tabs, either using your 22 Social account or some other form of that, where you can send traffic there or send them to another page, like your direct selling page that you set up for your company. So this could be, you know, Monica, you know, party light consultant, right? But I'm not going to, that's going to be my main page. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be Monica, the person who loves home decorating and tips about all kinds of cool stuff. And so I'm going to be building an audience or a brand here for the type of people that my product will attract, because that's, you know, that's what I'm about. So like, you know, with Shane, he's about nutrition and helping kids. So his content on his page is going to be about that. He just happens to be, you know, part of this company or a contractor with this, you know, company, or he is promoting this fundraiser or different things, but it all supports his overall brand. So that's kind of what I meant here by just have one page and with one brand message, you know, what you're about, and start building a following about that. Because if you leave your company, the company goes under, or you decide you want to try something else, you don't want to have to start over from scratch, create a whole new page, get everyone's, you know, transfer your fans or your likes or download your data and all this other stuff that you can do on Facebook. It's too much of a hassle. If you just start with one and brand yourself and what the values you are, the companies you join, the products you promote, the fundraising campaigns you start, you know, any launches, webinars, anything you do will be in line with who you are, what your brand message is. So I don't mind, this question comes up a lot, and that's usually where this answer comes from. So if you want to check that out, that would be great to see. And then let's get into this, because I get a lot of questions about this, unless I see something else pressing in the comments, which I'm going to check now. And if I don't really see anything, if I do, I'll answer them. But if not, I'm going to come back here and kind of talk about this whole process, because I think it's important for, you know, everyone to know how to do that regardless of what system you use. I fell into the whole, like, well, I want to help everybody get online. And there's so many people out there that can help, you know, with how to set up, you know, a blog and do a redirect, and hosting companies, and how to do a sales funnel, and how to create an ebook. Like, I could teach people how to do all of that. But a realtor versus someone who's a, you know, wellness coach versus somebody who owns a mom and pop shop could all benefit from those things. But am I really the best person to help them? You know, what do I enjoy? What type of industry am I comfortable in? Am I good at? Do I have knowledge about, but also enjoy? And get more niche specific. You'll find that you'll have more business, and then you can kind of brand yourself as the authority in that industry. So just, you know, I don't know what it is. Maybe you have another industry in particular, but if you were trying to just go broad, I find that tends to, it seems like the better idea is to, like, well, I just want to help everybody. That will help me find more people. But honestly, the more specific you get, the better. And one of the examples I give is, I had a client once who, and I may have shared this story before, but it's been a while. I know it's been a good 6, maybe 7 months since I've mentioned this. So it's, I had a client who wanted to run a daycare. And so she was quitting her job to do daycare. And she was one of those rare breeds that actually liked babies. You know, like most people charge more for that or whatever. She wanted like under 2. Like, that's what she goes, I love it when they're newborns and all of that. She also was very sympathetic to single mothers. And so she kind of was, you know, that was the group that she was marketing to. And she had, you know, she had a background with that understanding. But she also was offering her services overnight for like moms who work nights, like maybe they're going to school during the day, working a night job and things like that. And so that was something she was passionate about. But she had a daycare where she had, well, I'm going to offer all ages, and I'm going to do night and day, because she thought the more age groups I take in and the more hours I'm open, the more business I will get. But what happened after we worked together and I had her brand herself as the go-to person for somebody who had a child under the age of 2 that, you know, wanted somebody who understood their situation as a single mother that was working nights and needed overnight care, to brand herself as that person. I mean, she has a waiting list now of people because she's the person that knows that space and is she's the authority on that. Because, you know, there's tons of people opening daycares all the time. What's going to set you apart? And going small like that and narrowing actually brought her more business than if she had gone wide and stretched herself too thin. Plus, she's doing what she loves. So just kind of think about that. If I'm a direct seller, but I want to have one business page as a nutritional therapist, in that case, you recommend to have it separate. What I would recommend is you would have the nutrition therapist specialist. That's what you do. And then you're going to share information on this page you set up that's branding you as the go-to person for nutrition and advice. And then you can share recipes, you can share, you know, all this different stuff. And when you share a recipe, you can then combine that to say, and that's why I love Pampered Chef, because, you know, I can make this, and that, or this product helps me to extract nutrients from blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about. You're the expert, not me. But that's how you combine it. So the Facebook page and the fans are coming in to see your live videos, your posts, your pictures, your tips, your questions of the day, whatever, your contests. You're doing all this stuff about people who are interested in nutritional therapy or nutrition for whatever. Get really specific about what this is going to be about. You just happen to be a Pampered Chef consultant. So because Pampered Chef most likely has rules about how they set up their page, in this case, you would have 2. However, you want this to be your main page where all the traffic goes and all of that and everything, because if and when you decide to leave Pampered Chef, because I do believe that direct sales is kind of like a gateway into entrepreneurship. People get into that, they do really well, they grow a team, they get a taste for what entrepreneurship is, and it's an easy way to start a business for not much money, and then go on to write a book or become a coach or get certified for this or start their own company or agency or whatever that really spotlights what their gifts and what you're about. So a lot of people go down that road, but it's usually, you know, a company they started with and they join that company because of something they're passionate about, like nutrition and kitchen, you know, preparation tools and recipes and all that stuff go together. It's not like you're, you know, selling auto parts and then talking about being a nutritional therapist. That would be a stretch. But there's a way to bridge that gap. And the reason I say brand yourself, because you may later, you know, graduate from being a nutritional therapist to be an author, to be a speaker, to be a you know, who knows what you're going to evolve into, but it's always going to be about what you're passionate about this road to better nutrition for people. And you're the go-to person for that. Maybe you're not always going to be with Pampered Chef. Maybe you're going to be with several companies. Maybe you won't be with any other companies, but it'll always be in support of the underlying essence of who you are. And that's why I always say I would brand yourself on social media as a business person with the interests and things that what's about you, and build a tribe and a community that follows the same interests that you share as your gifts, what you're knowledgeable, what you're passionate about. And these other businesses and pages or apps or anything you create along the way are just tools or legs that support your overall vision, your brand, and your message. So if you can have one, then yes, just do one. If you are part of a network marketing company or direct selling company, such as yourself, where they have rules about, you know, it's got to say your name and it has to say Pampered Chef independent consultant or something like that. Because I know there are rules. I know the industry. There's lots of rules. And if your company doesn't have them, they eventually will, so that they don't get sued. So trust me, most companies will have that rule that either say you don't want to be on social media, which I don't think is smart, but a lot of companies are, not a lot, but there's a few companies out there that don't even allow their consultants to go on social media just because it's a big headache as far as, you know, intellectual properties and all that. But most, especially Pampered Chef, they're one of the, you know, old school companies. They've been around forever, so I know they're on the up and up. But a lot of companies will have a policy, like your policy and procedures on what to do. And in that case, if that's somebody, if you're listening to my voice now and that's you, you'll be part of a network marketing company, or you're an independent contractor for a company that has certain policies for social media that won't allow you to just call your page whatever you want, then I recommend, yes, create a page just for that business. But I would do all of your traffic and all of your branding and messaging and community building and lead generation on the page that's about you and your gifts and what you share and basically all of that. And occasionally share those posts, you know, on these pages if you want, but you want to build the brand here on the main page. And then when it comes up where you can highlight a product or something or a special you're having, you can say to the fans of this page, hey, check out this, and plug a link that maybe sends them to this page or sends them directly to your Pampered Chef, you know, website. But you stay within the rules because the business page you created, branding yourself on, you know, as a nutritional expert, you're not saying that you're affiliated with Pampered Chef. You just occasionally share stuff about them because you happen to be a consultant. So hopefully that's clear. But like I said, I'm glad that the questions are coming up because these types of things, what Christine's asking, what you're asking, what Shane asked, comes up a lot. And I'd like to see more people really getting to the heart of why, you know, why, when you get on social media, why do you share the things you do? Why are you interested in things you do? Check out how many tabs you have open when you're just like online searching for something. They're usually all about kind of the same thing. That gives you an indication of what you're passionate about, what you're interested in. That is your calling. That is what you are here to share about and what you are here to get the message about. And there are lots of people like you that are waiting for you to lead them. So as an entrepreneur, find a solution for people who are interested in the same things you are, offer that as a service and grow your business that way. And you're helping people, but you're also making a living doing so, and you'll feel good. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is, you know, finding out what you're here to do and do it. You see the one there on the left? That's what Facebook looks like on your desktop. And by desktop, I mean like laptop, computer, anything that's not a mobile device, like an iPhone or a tablet, iPad, Android. So the ones on the right there are the mobile view. And the mobile browser means I went to my browser like Safari or Chrome or something and typed in facebook.com. It's going to revert to the mobile version. It has a little M in front of the Facebook instead of www. And then the one on the far right is the app. So if you use the mobile app as opposed to going to like typing it in your browser. And those two look very similar, but there are some things that you can't do on the mobile version that you can do on desktop, like updating your apps and stuff. So over the past year or so, Facebook actually has made a lot of improvements on the mobile side of things because they know like most users are accessing through mobile. Over 90% of Facebook users are on mobile, and that's just the way everything's going now. So I anticipate that pretty soon you'll be able to do everything on the mobile app and the mobile browser that you can do on desktop. But there are still a few things you can't do, like changing your page category is one. I'll have a screenshot for that. Updating certain privacy or security settings on your personal profile, changing like your app tabs and all that. So I do expect eventually we'll be able to do everything, but until then I came up with a little tutorial that will let you do stuff that you can't do on mobile, like you want to do some desktop only stuff, but let's say you're nowhere near your desktop. One of the things that you can't see, let alone edit, are the little tabs there. So the third-party app tabs that you have, especially if you're using 22 Social, you can't do, you don't have to be on desktop to edit your apps. And sometimes I need to edit something quick and I'm on the road or I'm not near my desk. So this is why I get this question a lot. So I always tell people, well, you can launch the desktop version of a website on mobile, particularly Facebook, because some sites don't even allow this, and more sites are not allowing this. They want everyone to be like, you know, mobile responsive. So I think until Facebook allows us to do everything we can do on desktop on mobile, they should allow this functionality, even though it's kind of tricky of how to get to it. So prior to what I'm going to show now, there were some other methods that I would use, and those don't work anymore. So if you've seen some of my older tutorials, you'll probably notice that some of the stuff doesn't really work the way it used to, and this will kind of give you kind of a refresher on that. So this is kind of an exception to the rule. So whenever you need to do something that's a desktop only function, but you're not anywhere near your desktop, like editing those third-party apps and you know, your 22 Social apps or anything like that, that basically can't be done on mobile, you want to be able to launch the desktop version of a website on your mobile browser. Now, back in 2015, I actually created a tutorial, and that's the first one you see there. But that option is no longer available. I would say, you know, click on the little settings, scroll down the bottom, and then you'd see where it says desktop site. That option has been gone for like over a year now. That's not even there anymore. They don't allow it. So I got kind of creative with different ways I could force, you know, the desktop version. And then earlier in 2016, about a year ago, just under a year ago, I actually discovered that you could force Facebook to show up desktop like it shows there in that little feed there. That's from my mobile device, but it's actually my news feed on the desktop version of it. If you typed in /home.php at the end of the website, then it would convert it back from the mobile device. You see how up here there's a little M in front of it, to the desktop version. The problem with that method is that once you started clicking around, like if you clicked home here or you visited like one of your favorites or something like that, it would revert you back to the mobile, or after so many clicks it would do that. So it wasn't a permanent solution and not really the best one. So that's not something I recommend anymore either. However, if it is working for you, then you can continue to do that. And if you're going to like bookmark it, just make sure you bookmark it with /home.php at the end. That way when you launch it, it'll always be in desktop mode. So the tutorial that I put together is using Google Chrome, but there's different browsers that allow this. But for this tutorial, I'm actually going to be using the Chrome browser. So if you like this and you think, okay, that seems pretty easy, and you don't have Chrome, then just download it from your App Store or whatever it's called for Android users. I'm totally like iPhone for 10 years, so I don't know how to use anything else. When it comes to mobile, I always have to look it up. But you can do this with Safari and Firefox. And Firefox is actually very similar to Google Chrome. Safari is a little bit different, but I'll show you the little differences towards the end here. But what you want to do is launch your mobile browser, preferably Chrome, and go to facebook.com. Now it's going to automatically revert to the mobile view. So it's going to put the little M in front of it, and it will show this way. So that's obviously not the desktop view. And it's just going to do that automatically because it knows you're accessing from a mobile device. So it's going to give you the mobile version, which is supposed to be more user-friendly and all of that. But if you need to access desktop-only settings, then what you do is you tap on those three little dots there, vertical dots in the upper right corner of the browser. And what that does is when you tap on it, it's going to open this drop-down menu. And the drop-down menu is going to have the option to request desktop site. You want to tap on that, and then your Facebook feed, whatever page you were on, is going to revert to how it looks on desktop. And it'll be very small, of course, so you could tilt your phone sideways, you could pinch it open. But that is why there are mobile versions of sites, because this is really hard to read. But in a pinch, you need to do this, or in an emergency, this is a great way to access that. So you can see there on the left that those little like tabs that you can't access on the mobile version or on the app, now you can see them and you can tap on them and they'll work. And here, if you do it this way, tapping on all of those is not going to revert you back to the mobile version. So let's say I wanted to tap on like my free stuff app to edit it. When I click on that, it's going to show me my app there, and then all of like my editing options. I'll be able to see the tabs and do all these different things. And so it's very small, so I recommend, like pinching the screen to enlarge it. Also turning your phone sideways will make it landscape, and I think I actually have that as a slide. Yeah. So, and then here you can also pinch again to enlarge it. But different things that are not available, like that settings bar at the top, and being able to grab the full length URL, that's the desktop version, or editing different sections of like your dashboard for your apps, publishing and unpublishing apps. A lot of things that you're supposed to do on desktop, you can now do them on mobile if you launch it this way. Again, this is a good option if it's just an emergency, not an everyday thing. So a question that I often get when I show people how to do this is, or they'll tell me, well, now I'm always in desktop and I want to be in mobile. How do I get back to mobile? Because you can't just click on the little dots there and there's no option to unrequest desktop or switch back to mobile view. It stays there for as long as you keep the page open. So what I recommend is just to X out of the page, the tab. If you don't see an X up there in the corner, like if you have a number, you'll see here this has a number 9. That just means I have 9 tabs open. You can just tap on the number there and then it'll open all your tabs that you can individually like X out. So I can just tap here on the little X to close out that page, and then I can revisit it. So I'll come back and click on the little plus sign that you see over here on the left. I can click on that, and that'll just open up a new browser, and then we start over again. Then I'll just type in www.facebook.com, and it'll revert to the mobile. And if you want desktop, then you just go through the steps that I just showed you. But that's how you get back to mobile. So I added that into the tutorial because my original one for doing this didn't have this part in there. So like I said, more and more Facebook is going to be catering to mobile users, and eventually I believe we're going to be able to do everything through the mobile browser and the mobile app, and you won't have to do these little hacks that we're doing here. But, you know, it's good to know these things. So Firefox is actually super similar, almost identical process to Chrome, so I'm not going to go through the steps. Safari, however, is a little different, so I have like 3 or 4 screenshots here that will show you if you're an iPhone user and you don't want to download another browser, you just want to keep using Safari. A lot of people say that it's not possible in Safari. I was reading blogs about that. It actually is, and I tested it to make sure, like I even retested it this morning. To do this on an iPhone using Safari, you're going to want to tap on, there's different options. This is actually the more complicated way, but it's the way I'd always done it until I figured out there was an easier way. So I'm going to show you both. The little box with the arrow on the top there, like if you wanted to bookmark the page or something, you want to tap on that and then just scroll. Actually, you want to swipe left, even though the arrow is pointing to the right. It's because when you swipe left, you're going to go in the direction of what's on the right until you see where it says the option to request desktop. When you see that little icon and underneath it says request desktop, you just tap on that and it's going to revert to the desktop version. Now, the simpler option that I recently discovered is you just tap and hold the little refresh icon there in the upper right corner. And while you tap and hold it, this will pop up. And then all you do is tap on request desktop site and you're done. So that's a lot easier. But that's Safari. And again, I don't have screenshots for Firefox, but Firefox is very similar to Chrome. It's got the 3 little dots. You click on it, the drop down, select request desktop site, and everything else is pretty similar. So one last thing I want to just cover before I get this closed out, this little tutorial, and then I'll go back to some live questions, is that, you know, when you want to, if you haven't checked out Facebook's help, definitely. So facebook.com/help has had a lot of improvements. Their help center is just so much better this year, or in 2016, we're already in 2017, over the last year or so than it was in previous years. They've done a lot of changes. So if you wanted to know how to do something and you can't figure out how to do it on mobile and you can't access desktop, check out Facebook help because it's really cool. Let's say, for example, I wanted to know how to leave a group. And so I did a search for how do I leave a group, or I put in some words that brought me to this help article here. And I would go through and follow the instructions here. Now, if I'm browsing this on desktop, it's going to revert to the desktop version of how this is done. Now, if I happen to search facebook.com/help on a mobile device that I haven't, you know, requested desktop, just regular old going through the regular mobile site, then what I'll see is something that looks like this. And you'll notice that the instructions are different. It's going to revert to desktop instructions on the desktop and mobile instructions here on the mobile. So it'll say here, mobile browser help. It's super tiny, so I'm just going to read it to you. And over here, it's desktop help. So the instructions are depending on where you're viewing it. However, you can get mobile instructions from desktop view and vice versa. You can do on the mobile, you can get the desktop. All you need to do is click where it says other help centers, which is faded out here so you can't really see it, but you'll see it when you're going to the help center. You click on that and there's different options there. There's mobile browser, Android app, iPhone app, iPad app, Facebook Lite app. And so and these change all the time. There's like whenever they have new apps or different types of browser help, they'll put that in there. So you can click on it. For example, if we selected Android, because I don't know how to use Android, but maybe I had a client who needed help how to leave a group on and do it on my phone, which I've had to help people do this. I will come to help, search for the topic I need, and then select other help centers and then choose whatever my client is using, if she's on Android or mobile or whatever. And then the instructions will be for what to do on that device. So here's the instructions for Android. So you can actually choose these from wherever. So you don't have to, if you're on a mobile device, you can also get the desktop help to see what that is. The reason this is important is because sometimes the instructions will tell you that you can't do it in mobile. It has to be on desktop. So this is one of those. How to change my pages category or subcategory. It'll give you the instructions. It defaults to mobile because I'm searching on my mobile phone. And instead of giving me the option to, the mobile instructions, I can either click on desktop help to see the desktop, but it tells you right here to change your pages category, log into Facebook from your computer. That's basically the help for this topic. If you're not on your computer, if you're looking on mobile, you can't do this. And the reason is because the instructions, the desktop instructions say to go to the About tab on your business page. Well, these tabs are not visible on mobile, so that's why there's no help for that. However, now that you know how to launch the desktop version on your phone, you can get to that view by following the steps in this tutorial. So I wanted to kind of just add those extras on to the original tutorial that I did. Didn't include the part about Facebook help, and I did include like Safari versions and things like that. So I hope that was helpful. So inside this document here, the broadcasting tips that I updated, I talk about using the Shift plus the Windows key plus the arrows to toggle between my two different monitors, which you guys don't see, but I'm going to show you a screenshot. And so in here, I see one of my layout examples here because I have a screenshot from another training I've been putting together. So I have that enlarged on another screen. So on my desktop right now, I have two monitors. So this only applies if you have dual monitors, but a lot of people say, I wish we could see over your shoulder what you see. So hopefully this helps. It's not exactly you looking over my shoulder, but up here is what I'm demonstrating right now. So what you guys are viewing, that's my monitor 1. And so when I'm in the control room over here, the Google control room, when I hit share and it asks me what do I want to share, I'm going to say screen 1. And so screen 1 is what you guys are seeing. Now over on monitor 2, which is what I'm looking down here below, because this is exactly how I have mine. I've got my desk right here, my monitor on my desk, and then I have a monitor up higher, like on a little shelf behind my laptop, and it's just sitting there so I could see it. And that's what I'm looking at going through this. But down here, I can look to see questions coming in while you guys are asking. This is the little, so when I go to broadcast, I choose presenter view. So when I click presenter view, this little box pops up, and then I can either drag it down to monitor 2 because it'll pop up with the presentation. I'll drag it down or hit the Shift Windows key and the arrow to bring it down here, because you guys don't need to see that, I do. But here I can click next and previous, so I can toggle between the next slide. And if I have any notes, I can read them and I know what's coming next. It'll tell me here's what's coming next. I know what to say. I go so far as to insert little arrows and squares when I know that that's in my presentation, like click here, and then I have like a finger. It tells me that that's next. I never used to do that, but I'm a lot more organized than I was in the past. Now I do that so that I have, a platform for things. And then I also have my broadcasting window open here, which is where I click start and stop here to start the broadcast and stop the broadcast. Lets me know I'm live. I can see how many viewers are on with me. Like right now I'm looking and we have 6 viewers online live right now. And so it tells me that, but it also just confirms that what I'm showing in monitor 1 is coming through. So that way, if I do something else, I don't have to go back to the app to see what you guys are viewing. Whatever you see in your control room, that's what you're sharing. So if I'm on camera and I'm showing my face, that will show here. So this is almost just like a control room. It tells me what people are seeing. It's the playback, and it tells me how many viewers and all that. And then I could have this as another tab with the comments if I'm just reading it. Now, if I want you guys to see the comments, what I normally would do is I would just go full screen with this. I click the little, square button up here to make this my whole screen, and then I would do this Shift plus the Windows key plus the arrow key to just bounce it over to here, so then you would see that. So I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm going to pull up, you guys don't see me doing this, but on my other screen here I've got my comments, and I'm just going to toggle it into monitor 2. And a lot of people ask me, like, how did you do that? So that was my first, that had come up. And so I thought, well, let me share that on today's call. So let me know if you have questions about that. Let me show it to you one more time before I close it. So take a look at that and then let me know if you have questions in the group. I'm going to close this out. There we go. I'm just going to exit out. Now I can just toggle back and forth between, you know, here, and if I had a presentation, I would just go back to my presentation. And then on my end, I'm doing, like, here's the previous slide. So I know now I'm screen sharing. This is just a placeholder for me. And I know to switch over to screen sharing. When you're talking about the upper right portion of monitor 2, you said something about putting hints like click here. Yeah, I will definitely repeat that. So in my actual presentation, so here's what comes up, right? This box comes up and I just, I can drag it, which is what I just did, but I could also, when I hit the shift window arrow, it moves it back down to where it was. So now I'm gonna just bring it back. So what I do, it also times it for me, right? But let's say I had on one of these, and maybe I have some old notes somewhere. I don't know that I do. I don't have any in here, and I don't want to launch another presentation, but on the actual slide of it, let's see, I'll actually, let me close that. I'm going to, oh, and it takes me back to how far I went. I'm going to hit exit. Because what that's going to do is it gets me back here. But let's say I had here where this arrow, I wanted to appear after I clicked, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to View, Animations, and it's different in PowerPoint, but I recommend Google because they all communicate with each other. If you're going to be running a Hangout using Google, YouTube is, you know, Google owns YouTube, then you probably want to use Chrome browser, you probably want to use Google Slides, all that, because you know they're all going to be compatible. So not that you can't use PowerPoint if that's your preference, but I highly recommend doing it this way. And so that's what I usually teach. But let's say I wanted, I'm talking about this, and I want this arrow to show up. You know, I just want it to appear when I click. And I have to slide this all the way over to, you know, I don't want it to be delayed. So I want it to appear when I click. That's an animation. I have one animation. So I can say here, when an arrow comes in, I could just do, I can enter it like a character. And I'll just select an arrow. And you can actually, if you want to find an arrow, because there's like emojis, there's all kinds of stuff, you know, symbols you can add and stuff, right? But if you wanted to find like, well, I want an arrow that's pointing down like this, where can I find that? You can draw something and it'll show you, we have this one, is that what you want? Or this one? So this one looks more like what I'm trying to do. So that's what I put here. And so I'll say something like, you know, new updates, you know, to the plugin. And so I'll talk about that. And then I know that then I need to advance my slide, because then the arrow is going to come up and I can say over on the left, right? And so then I say something. Now, and I can get fancy, like if it's yellow, I can go in here and say, okay, it's the yellow arrow. I mean, you don't have to do all that, right? But what I'm seeing, you can't even see it here, but, and now I want to present this in presenter view. I'm going to switch this over to speaker notes, and I'm just going to bring it down. But what I know now is what you guys don't see me doing down on the next monitor. I'm reading this and I'm saying over. Okay, so there's new updates to the Facebook plugin, and then this is my cue to hit next. And it doesn't change the slide, but what it does is it brings in the arrow. Over on the left side, da 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 da, and I can hit next again if I had, you know, another arrow coming in over here, and that would be my next line saying, I'd put an arrow and say, and then over on the right. And so this is kind of like my guide that tells me how to do my presentation. Like I said, I never used to do this before. Like everything I did was on the fly, and you know, that's how I did it for years. I never had notes. I just knew what I was going to say and I talked about it. The problem is when you try to scale your business and you want to hire people, or you need help with something, or let's say, you know, I'm sick and I want to travel, there's no direction for somebody to come in and take over for me because it's all in my head. And that was a big wake-up call that I had towards like the end of 2015, which I spent all of last year, you know, preparing my business to scale and to be able to bring on team members and all of that. So that's why I do it now and why I never did it before. But hopefully that answers your question about that. Another cool thing about that is I can tell how long I've been on if I start this right at the beginning, which I did, but since I closed it, reopened it, and closed it, and reopened it, it restarts again. But that's another benefit of doing this. So it'll pop up here. This is what it'll look like. I'll hit pause. I'll go here, and then I'll drag it down to my other monitor. And then just before I start, I'll hit resume, and that'll start the counter, and then I'll just start talking. But this will tell me what to say. So that's cool for those of you who are presenting. So I'm gonna actually kind of go through all of these really quick. And we'll come back to do the brain game after I do my little screen sharing here. Great question though, and hopefully that answered it.